All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the second part of the show, we are now going to discuss Aaron Rodgers being cleared to practice by the Jets. So Robert Saleh said uh, he was cleared for functional football activity but not contact. So yeah, he was throwing the football around. There were some videos out there of him throwing it, and yeah, looks good. But is he going to play? I don't. I know we've done a segment on this before, but I don't think so. Now, me personally, I would love to see him play this year, even if the Jets are out of it, just to see him play. But I think for him and for the team, I think the best course of action is for him to just, sit out the rest of the year, even if he thinks he can play, and just wait till next year. Just get healthy for next year and go from there. Because, I mean, you go out there and, you get hurt. I mean, I think people are looking at, like, the Browns game as, like, a potential, like, return date. Because I think it was, like, he was looking at, like, a mid-December return. You play against the Browns. You go up against Myles Garrett and that defense. With how the offensive line is played, I mean, you might get hurt again. Don't risk it. Um, yeah, it's. I mean, listen. I think if he came back and played and like nothing happened, he was perfectly fine. I think. I mean, I know people say, well, he's being selfish and I understand that. I get it, but I would be like, that's incredible. I mean, even because I was looking at the what Salah said, the quote that I said, before on ESPN. I mean, 11 weeks. The headline was 11 weeks after what happened to him the first game of the season. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, 4 plays into the season and he was done, and now he's practicing. I mean, it's unreal. So if he does come back and play this year, I mean, I think we should be like, I mean, I don't want to. I was going to say celebrating it, but like, I mean, really, it would be unbelievable if he came back and played and he was fine. Now I don't really know. You don't know until like he actually like steps on the field and like starts taking hits. Now, Rodgers has dealt with a lot of injuries over the course of his career. Um, his collarbone injuries, and he's had some surgeries on his knees, I believe, too. So I mean, he's been banged up a lot. Now the last couple of seasons, he's been relatively healthy. Really didn't miss any games other than when he had COVID. The one game that made him, miss another opportunity of seeing him play against Patrick Mahomes, and that was actually Jordan Love's first start of his career. But other than that, he was healthy for a while, and then this injury happens, and we didn't get this. We really lost a season to watch him play, and obviously you don't want to, especially because now he's not as he's getting older. He's going to be 40, or is he already 40? 39, 40 years old. He's around there, and it's unfortunate because at some point he's going to hang it up. I mean, we'll see what happens next year. I mean, he's going to come back and play next year, but beyond that, who knows? But for the Jets, I mean, they got to they got to build an offensive line around him. That's what they have to do, because if he's not protected next year, it's going to be the same thing. He's going to get hurt again. And that's why, like, you look at, what Tampa Bay did when they got Brady. I mean, they drafted a lineman. They signed some guys too. They protected Brady. That offensive line the first 2 years in Tampa was very good. It was that final year where it wasn't. And look at the Bucs and how they were last year. I mean, they went 8-9. I mean, they drafted Tristan Wirfs. They signed Ryan Jensen. The offensive line was solid. With the Jets, I mean, I was worried. I mean, we were relying on Mekhi Becton trying to come back because he's a guy that's always been banged up. Vera Tucker, who's a good player on the offensive line, he's been hurt the last 2 years now, getting season-ending injuries in Denver back-to-back years, which is crazy. I was definitely worried about this offensive line going into the season. And 4 plays into the Jets season, on offense, Rodgers got hurt. And that's really the main thing, is they have to prioritize fixing that. Now, they might have a top 10 pick this year because of how they've been playing as of late. Tim Boyle was not any better than Zach Wilson on Black Friday. At least for Zach Wilson, he was not a part of the Hail Mary that was returned for a touchdown. I still think the butt fumble was the worst of the two, just because of how the play itself and how it played out. I know some people have different opinions of the importance of it. Because the Jets still technically could have did something this year. They were already on their way to getting blown out by the Patriots. At least that's what I heard on the radio here in New York. And I understand that. I just think the butt fumble it's iconic, and I don't think anything is gonna ever surpass it. But that's just me. I mean, I'm a Giant fan saying that. So the Jets. It's unfortunate what happened this year. They didn't really, plan, have a good contingency plan in case, Rodgers did get hurt. They just were like, all right, well, we're going to throw Zach back in, and hopefully he, is able to win us some games. And it just didn't happen. But it does go to show you, though, that the Jets have more than just a quarterback problem. There's other problems. I mean, they don't really have a lot of weapons outside of Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Like I keep saying, the offensive line, not good. And now you start seeing the defense is starting to, give up. So there's a lot of issues with the Jets, and and also you got to look at the play calling and the head coach. It's not good. It's not good. But look, I would love to see Rodgers come back and play, but I think especially because with him being older now, it's just not worth it. It really isn't worth it. I mean, are the Jets going to go on a run? I mean, there's really no indication of that. I mean, these last couple of games have been brutal to watch. They got stomped by the Bills. I mean, they did get 3 turnovers against the Dolphins, but you still lost by a few scores. I mean, they basically, and like I said, the defense gave up. I mean, Mostert had 2 rushing touchdowns. It was like nobody was on the field to tackle him. So, I mean, I thought, when they beat the Eagles, I was like, okay, this team could definitely, keep their record respectable until maybe Rodgers does come back. But not really. They haven't really run the football effectively, because that's what I said. I'm like, as long as they can run the ball, play mistake-free football, and their defense, keeps it close, they're going to win games. But they just really have not done that. They haven't. And again, it's more than just a quarterback problem. I think Trevor Siemian should be the starter instead of Tim Boyle, but that's just me. What do I know? But yeah, Tim Boyle, he's not it either. But yeah, I mean, the Jets have had a weird year. So they won the opening game against Buffalo, then they lost 3 in a row. Then they won 3 in a row, and now they've lost 4 in a row. I mean, I think they're due for a win at some point. I mean, I keep picking them every single week, except against the Bills. I picked them against the Chargers. I picked them against the Raiders. I picked them against the Dolphins, too, because they were getting a lot of points. And, yeah, I mean, it was close after the pick 6, but then they threw a pick 6. So I don't know. I mean, they play the Falcons on Sunday. That's a team that has a quarterback issue as well. So maybe you force some turnovers there. Get good field position. But I don't know. I think at this point it's kind of too little, too late. You know. I mean, I'm at least happy knowing that Aaron Rodgers is gonna come back next year. At least try to come back next year. Because I really, for me, I really just do not want him to go out this way. I don't. I want him to at least go out, have a good year, and see what happens. You get to the playoffs and you go from there. Because I really wanted to see what he was going to do with the Jets. And the Jets could be trying to bring in some of his other friends as well. Devontae Adams, they're trying to get, and maybe David Bakhtiari as well. See, those guys would have an impact if you bring them in. Because, you brought in Randall Cobb. I mean, Randall Cobb's not what he used to be. Doesn't really play. Dalvin Cook has been a disaster. When bringing him in. You thought it was going to be a nice, 1-2 combination between him and Breece Hall, but really hasn't. So we'll see. We'll see what the Jets do. I did talk about how I think I did, bring it up this week. All three guys are coming back. Hackett, Saleh, and Joe Douglas. They all seem to be coming back. So, we'll see. But yeah, for me, like I said, I think Rodgers, wait till next year. But if you do play and you stay healthy, I'm okay with that too. Just to at least see what he looks like in a Jets uniform. I mean, we really only got him. I watched him, in the preseason game against the Giants. He threw the touchdown to Garrett Wilson, and then you saw him running with the flag, on September 11th, which was awesome. And then everything just, did a complete 180 on us when he got hurt. And I was literally standing right over there in this room just beside myself because I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. And hopefully it doesn't happen again when he does come back. So we're going to take our second break of the show. When we come back, we'll talk about the Heisman and the NFL MVP odds. We'll go through both of those, give you my thoughts on that. Before I get into that, or before we go to break, I just want to remind you guys, once again, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to go to the following link. That is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you, the viewer. Again, the link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. But yeah, so that's the Aaron Rodgers stuff for today. Let me know what you guys think. Is Aaron Rodgers going to play this year, or is he gonna? We're gonna have to wait till next year. I think most people are in agreement that it's gonna be next year, but there's some people that probably think he should still play if he's cleared to, even if the Jets are completely out of it. But yeah, so that's what we. So that's all the Aaron Rodgers stuff. And like I said, when we come back from our second break, we will go over the Heisman and the NFL MVP odds. We'll talk about that when we come back from our second break. So stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.